The Who's are hosting a regional again. Virginia will host Penn tomorrow at noon from the Dish. One game at a time, Who's. Also, what firestorm did Jay start up for us this week? I hope Jay can do some explaining. I know Jay has you in an uproar, but give us a follow and a thumbs up on YouTube. He can explain it all. We consider Coach Bennett a legend around here. Listen in to this special episode of the Cavalier Connection as we take time to celebrate Coach Bennett's 55th birthday Saturday by showing appreciation for all Coach Bennett has done for this program. All of this is coming up next. Welcome on into another edition of the Cavalier Connection podcast. I'm your host, Jack Lowe, and joined as always by tonight, Jay Ballard and my dad, Jeff Lowe. Dad, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great.
Jay?
I love the opening. It gets me pumped up every time. I've seen it a bunch, but I still love it every time.
Absolutely. It's so weird seeing little 13-year-old me standing next to a good old George Welsh statue. Anyway,
the Who's are national champions.
Yep. Yeah, that was fantastic. So, Jay, you wrote an article this week that got folks talking, which it's good to hear folks are talking. That means people are actually reading the stuff. You're not just writing it for nobody.
That's a good point.
Now, it's a good thing that you got people talking. You know people are reading your stuff. You're not writing it for no reason. That's good to hear. So now, we are a fans podcast, so we read many things online, and based off of those articles, we give our thoughts. This is something you did this past week regarding Coach Bennett's contract and his future. What do you have to say for yourself?
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people kind of up in arms a little bit.
Just a little bit.
And I really don't think it was anything that controversial that was written. You know, I think our job is just we like to talk about Virginia sports, right? And we love Coach Bennett. But to ignore a story that's out there, I don't think we'd be doing the fans a service. We're fans. This is the fans show. Like, we consider ourselves the podcast of the fans. And, apparently, some didn't like it. I put a poll up on X after I wrote the article, I'll add, and just said, will Tony Bennett be the coach of Virginia 2 years from today? And I put it up there for, 1 day. And 72% of people say he's still going to be the coach at UVA. So just to, kind of get everybody up to speed and we're all on the same page, I want to give credit to the Augusta Free Press for the information that they've provided, which was they requested the contract information for Coach Bennett, Coach Williford, Coach Sanchez, and they did some others that I guess that information has not come out yet, or if it has, I've missed it. Now, saying that, we all three, and definitely, we understand that, there's a lot of fans out there that view the Augusta Free Press in a certain way. Now, you've got some that really enjoy it, but you've got a lot that, man, let me just read the quotes. One of the quotes. This was from Lee Higgins on Facebook. Don't lend any credit to Graham's reporting at Augusta Free Press, hack journalist who owns the newspaper with an axe to grind on most things UVA. Listen, I don't know this person, Mr. Graham, and so I'm not going to speak on, his reporting. This article is simply looking at contract status, right? Contract is a contract. That is what it is. The contract says Coach Bennett has 2 years left. Now, as I said in that article, do you think Coach K or Dean Smith would have ever let their contract get down to 2 years? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Because when you go into a recruit's home They want to know that you're going to be their coach for their entire time at the school they choose. And when you only have 2 years left on your contract, you can't assure them of that. You can say, well, I'm staying, whatever. I don't know what he's saying. And we would love to talk to, and we are trying to get some recruits for the basketball to kind of talk about what are they being told if they're asking that question. But until we get some of those answers, all we can do is look at the contract. And so the contract says Coach Williford's is 2 more years, just like Coach Bennett's. But Coach Sanchez's, who left a head coaching job to come back to UVA, is 3 years. Coach Sanchez gets paid regardless of whether Tony Bennett comes, stays, leaves, whatever. The way that I actually believe this plays out, and I've said this a million times, and I don't think people hear me when I say it. They only, hear what they want to hear. I think Tony's leaving in 2 years. And that's just my opinion. I pray to God that I am wrong. But I think he's gone in 2 years, and I think his plan is for Coach Sanchez to take the team. And I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But some of the other quotes, from Facebook, Tammy Amburn said is fake news. One of my favorites, because they actually took time to make a poop emoji, was a poop pyramid. It was, I believe that this is a big poop emoji pyramid pile by Tony Campbell. I really like that one. Chris West said Coach Tony Bennett and Jay Wright are good friends. He's sick of trying to appease and coddle these players. After the national championship, everyone said recruits will just fall in his lap, and hasn't happened. Travis Watson, UVA's very own, a legend in his own right. Double-edged sword. I don't think he will leave if they work with the new era. Oh, sorry. My computer went black for a second.
I got to
work.
Oh, go ahead.
If they work with the new era of obtaining players, meaning open up the bank account to get great talent. The time to wait on developing players is now over. If UVA can't comply, then I think he will move on to a place where he can take himself back to national title. 14 plus years in any place is a long time. And that's definitely true. Like sometimes you think about Andy Reid, one of the greatest football coaches of all time, ended up leaving the Eagles after and could have, and then goes to Kansas City and wins multiple Super Bowls. Because, I think he said in interviews, people get tired of hearing the same stories, Now, in college and pros is different. You could have the roster in the NFL that doesn't flip over, whereas college athletics, at the maximum, you're going to have a kid 4 or 5 years. So a little bit different. And then Jerry Williams came up. This was interesting to me. Jerry Williams said maybe Coach Bennett doesn't like the direction UVA is going. Maybe a little too liberal for him. He is a religious man, and his faith is more important to him than the agenda UVA has. Again, interesting. I'm all about interesting. Like, I don't know what's right here. I don't know the future. I think the contract says that he's going to leave. But I'm all about what makes sense. And so as a Christian, maybe Jerry Williams is on to something. So, where do you guys stand? Jeff, where do you stand on the whole article, and what do you think is going to come into play, and how is this going to play out?
So I haven't read a whole lot of Augusta Free Press. I definitely had read this article. I think, first of all, the reason there's been a lot of backlash, or I wouldn't say backlash, it just brings up a lot of emotion when you discuss Tony Bennett and leaving. It's not people thinking not as highly of you, or we're not reporters, we're fans, so you can and we're going to give opinions. It's just Tony Bennett's, and same for us. He's such a beloved head coach and what he's done program, it thought of losing him. And so, sometimes they say the truth hurts, and I don't know if this is the truth or not, but if it is, it hurts. If we lose Tony Bennett, leaves for the NBA, and gosh, I hope that's what he's doing if he leaves. I'd like to think I want him to do something that he wants to do. And we've said this many times. I don't believe for a second this has anything to do with UVA. He's going to make the decision when he wants to leave.
Right.
So, all you can do is, as you said, look at the contract. The contract says to me that in 2 years, I just can't see. I would have expected there already have been an extension if he was going to be here for this time. And then when you look at Sanchez having 3 years on his deal, we hope we're wrong. I hope we're wrong on this. This is a guess. This is all a guess. And, we don't take everything from Augusta Free Press or any other news outlet. As Virginia fans, we read and read and read. And just like you guys do, whoever, these folks who are posting on Facebook, they read your article, which, as Jack said, that was great to see they at least read your article. And it wasn't just they read it. And it's going to get a lot of reads. I host the ACC Huddle program, and the first episode we had the Bull City coordinators Ben Bird on, who discussed the ACC lawsuit. It was a hot topic. It got the most views of anything that we've done. It's in UVA's world, basketball has been number one. We can tell you, looking at the numbers from our podcast, basketball gets the most views, number one. Number two, I think, Jay, you may have mentioned this on here before, but Jerry Radcliffe, I believe it was Jerry Radcliffe, said on one of his something, basketball, he gets all his readers and views anytime it's basketball related.
5 to 1.
5 to 1. And if you think about that, number one, the reason for that is Tony Bennett, number one.
For sure.
Because without Tony Bennett, we are not where we are today.
God knows what the program is today.
He grew this program to what it is today. That's why 5 to 1 people are all about the basketball team. And then because of Tony Bennett, we won a national title. And because of all of that, that's why your article is going to get read, and it's going to get a lot of emotion going because it's Tony Bennett. This is what he's done. Basketball is number one at UVA.
That's right.
When I was in high school, there was a stretch when I would go in and Virginia would play North Carolina in football. And the Carolina fans would say, wait till basketball season. Or Duke. I was talking to Ben Bird again tonight on the ACC Huddle. I've been to Duke games many times at Duke. And, back when we were going in the 90s, Virginia was superior to Duke. And what do you hear the students saying and the fans saying? Wait till football season. That's what you're going to get.
You mean basketball?
I mean basketball season.
I was going to say, I'd love to wait till football season, Duke fans.
So, that's where we're at as a university right now. Wait till basketball season, even though we're very high on this football team.
Yeah.
So that's why the emotion is out there, I believe, because basketball is hot at Virginia, and Tony Bennett is responsible for that. And so, we are, we've already said it, we're pro Tony Bennett. We love Tony Bennett. We hope Tony Bennett comes back for 25 more years. This is Tony Bennett's conference, the ACC, as long as he wants, and he's the top dog. And so, but that's why the emotion's there. And I'm in the belief, I'm in the column that says Tony Bennett is leaving in 2 years. And I'm also in the column that hopes that I'm wrong.
Yeah. Jack, where you stand?
Yeah, you couldn't be more correct, Dad, about he is literally, in my opinion, the single-handed reason why UVA is even relevant in basketball today. I mean, who knows? They could have picked up some other coach and maybe would have done something. This basketball program is not where it is today They're not in the polls as often. They're not making the bracket almost every year as often. They're not winning the title without Bennett. I mean, you look back before Bennett was here, and I know you all have said this on the show, like the big year was when y'all made the Final Four once, and however old y'all were, kids, teens, whatever. That was it.
We were little.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Okay.
Fact,
I just know that y'all have said that.
I was alive, but
but that was the big year. So they went to the Final Four. After that, I mean, you have a chance to win the ACC title. Maybe you win a couple. It's not what it is today, where you're competing for an ACC regular season title every single year. You're competing for the ACC tournament every year. You're making the bracket, I'd say, pretty consistently, with a little bit of trouble every now and then, as we saw last year this year with the struggles we've had. But this is Tony Bennett's team. He decides when he leaves, and to be honest with you, my opinion, does all that facts lead and point to the fact that he'll be done? I believe it does, especially with all this NIL and transfer stuff. He just can't. It's tough to catch up with it when you've been running a system that doesn't use that kind of stuff for so long. It's tough for him to adapt. However, I do also. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, it's a funny point. Go ahead.
No, but I will say, all of this, everything we're talking about from last week to this week, the article, every single bit of this is speculation. This is all just speculation. We've got 2 years left to worry about this. Does it make sense that he hasn't got an extension yet? It doesn't. But this is all speculation. We have no clue. We are fans that are, like we said earlier, reading stuff. We're watching shows or other podcasts. We're doing all this stuff as fans. We don't know exactly what's going on inside the UVA staff with Carl Williams, Tony Bennett. We don't know what they're really doing. This is all speculation. And I'm hoping that because it's just speculation, we're all wrong and he will be staying in 2 years.
And I want to add there, Jack, and Jeff, you said kind of something similar. The sources that we do have, if they know, they're not letting us break that story.
No.
You know, we have some sources, but we won't be the ones to break the story when it gets broken. You know what I mean?
So I was going to say two things. Number one, if you're a Virginia fan, you want a source for insider stuff, I would definitely give Jackie Franchuli a follow. I think she's the best in the business for UVA. And then the second thing I wanted to mention, I was laughing at what Jack was saying because Jack said the NIL stuff and he's never had to worry about, stuff like that. And I believe that's true. But none of the schools were supposed to have had to worry about stuff like that. Now,
yeah,
we know that those other schools, there are schools that were worrying about that stuff. God knows they were getting paid before. It was just
no
illegal.
question.
Virginia, I think Coach Bennett definitely, and maybe I'm just a homer, but I believe he was running a clean program.
Yeah,
I do too.
He's not Coach Cal. I'll say that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
and you're right. Everybody hasn't had to worry about NIL and transfer stuff, but it's not just Tony Bennett, but it's the way UVA runs their program too. They're not giving out NIL deals like the University of Texas is or whatever. So I don't know, but
so I told everyone that thinks this was a hit piece or we're anti-coach to listen to the podcast. And they would see that we are definitely pro Tony and we want him to stay forever. So with that being said, we are getting ready to celebrate his 55th birthday on Saturday. We're going to open up the Tony Bennett appreciation portion
Giddy
of
up.
the show. Jeff, take it away.
Yeah, there's so much to be appreciative for. And I'm just going to start out with the awards that this young man, only 55 years old, has accumulated. He took over the program April 1st, 2009 from Dave Lato. And, when Dave Lato left, the program was in the toilet. Yeah. And I'll never forget, I'm going to get to his accolades in a minute. One of my coworkers, Tony Leary, told me Virginia will never win with Tony Bennett, like with this style. Will never win. Well, Tony, I hope you're listening out there. His record at Virginia, 364 wins and 136 losses. That's a 728 win percentage. Giddy up. Like, sign me up for that. Sign me up for that all day, every day. 2-time Naismith Coach of the Year. Was the only other was Terry Holland ever a Coach of the Year? You know, Virginia's had some good coaches, so he may have. But Tony, 2 times, and 2-time AP Coach of the Year, 4-time ACC Coach of the Year, 2 ACC tournament titles, 1 or shared in 6 ACC regular season titles. Of course, the big one, the national championship. He's one of 3 coaches in history with Dean Smith and Mike Krzyzewski. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of them, but I have. To lead his program to 10 or more consecutive winning ACC records, and is one of 3 coaches also with those guys again, Dean Smith, Coach K, to be named ACC Coach of the Year 4 or more times. Another big one here. In 2019, Bennett was named to a list of world's 50 greatest leaders by Fortune magazine, alongside such names as Special Counsel and UVA alumnus Robert Mueller, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Say what you want about them. Tim Cook of Apple as well. So just some of his accolades and reasons we appreciate Coach Bennett of what he's done here in Virginia. What about NBA players, Jack? Who has he coached that's in the NBA?
He has coached a lot of players that have made it to the big leagues. The first one, Trey Murphy, who's the most recent one, I believe, for the New Orleans Pelicans. DeAndre Hunter, Ty Jerome, Kyle Guy, the big 3 from that national championship run in 2019, all on their respective teams right now. Shayok, who transferred to Iowa State at one point, but he played a part in UVA for a couple of years. Devin Hall, Malcolm Brogdon, Rookie of the Year, and has been monstrous for the Bucks. Justin Anderson, Jumpin' Joe Harris, Mike Scott, Klay Thompson. That's right, Klay Thompson for the Golden State Warriors, and Kyle Weaver. Undrafted Bennett players to see significant NBA minutes include Mamadi Diakite, Sam Hauser, Braxton Key, and Aaron Baines. Jay, do you have a favorite moment besides the national championship from Coach Tony Bennett's tenure?
There's a lot of them, right? You know, it's hard to pick one. I knew we were going to do this, and I've been thinking. What do you say? And I think for me, you know, growing up, we never won an ACC tournament title. And so I just never really thought it was a possibility. And so I think winning that first ACC tournament title against Duke with Akil, friend of the show, Akil Mitchell, Joe Harris, and that group, it kind of opened my eyes to the possibility that the program could be different. It wasn't just, well, we'll get to the championship game and lose to Duke, we'll lose to Carolina, whoever it may be, because we had made it before. Under other coaches, you know, as well. And so that would probably be my favorite moment, but I got to say my favorite thing is just probably the way Coach Bennett handled himself after the loss to UMBC. And that showed me more about him than any win, because you always learn more in a loss than you do in a win. Mm-hmm. And just seeing the type of man he is, I've seen him another moment, and I hope I'm not stealing any of you guys' moments, but when Anthony Gill played over him, when he kind of had that moment in the tournament where he was on, he kind of got dizzy and went down to a knee, and I just thought that was a really strong moment for Bennett. And for the, you know, just again, it says a lot about him and the players that he recruits. So I'll turn it over to you guys, and but I could keep going on for probably another hour just myself. But I'll turn it over to you guys.
Yeah, those were all good ones. You did steal one of mine. So the way he handled himself after that loss to UMBC will always stand out to me. You know, when Virginia lost that game, I was in a bad mood, and it wasn't helped out by friends who wanted to rub it in.
My family too.
And
my family.
I'll never forget. I took the Virginia shirt on that I was wearing that night because I thought Virginia was going to make a run, of course, and you don't expect that loss. And I Hulk Hogan that shirt. Like I ripped that shirt. I didn't rip it as easy as Hogan. I will say Hogan's shirts did have the little cuts in them to allow for a little easier ripping, but I Hulk Hogan that shirt.
Yeah.
And, you know, I look back on that, and it didn't take me long. You know, many times you get mad in life, and it don't take long to look back and like, man, what was I thinking? And that was one of those moments. I was by myself, so
by then I was upstairs watching the game. I think it was the second half. I
needed to be was by myself. I ripped that shirt, and you know, you watch how Coach Bennett handled himself there. Gosh, man, I was ashamed of myself, and I was by myself in the living room, and I did that, and I was fully ashamed because, and to handle that with such grace and class, and what those guys learned, and that's what just made that moment the following year. The reason I was so happy for Coach Bennett was because, you know, sometimes in life, it doesn't feel this way a lot of times in today's society, but sometimes in life, good things happen to good people. And I just think that's what it was. I mean, it's just unbelievable to be able to conduct yourself that way after a loss and have your star guys sit up there at the podium and face that media and take those questions. You see, these are college kids, and you got professional athletes. When LeBron James of the world, sometimes I'm not gonna talk to them. Like, you know, and Tony Bennett, just to be able to sit there in front of that media like that, and he knew what was coming his way, and just take it and taught those guys what a blessing. I forget what he said exactly. What a blessing it was. And you know what they're going to get out of that.
Joy comes in the morning.
Joy comes in the morning. And we, you know, his 5 pillars, and when I want to say it was when they made the Final Four after beating Purdue, and he cut that net down. I was so excited to see him. When he got that net down, you could just see some relief coming off. And I believe his dad was at that game, and a big embrace. His dad doesn't come to many games. No. I think he was at that game. There was one of those, and the embrace from the father to the son after a big win like that. There's so many Tony Bennett stories. I know we were sticking away from the national title, but slapping that sticker on the board as One Shining Moment's coming on, I can't get that out of my head. We're thankful for Tony Bennett. Jack?
Yeah, it's so hard to just point out to one moment where it's like, man, like that is Tony Bennett's best moment without going to the national championship, of course. I mean, I could just steal what you guys said. The ACC championship against Duke, I was about 6 years old, maybe 7 years old. But that was probably my earliest memory of watching UVA basketball. I just remember it being I remember my dad making it such a big deal in the living room. Like, I was like, this is pretty cool. We're winning a championship. So I remember that was like my first memory of UVA basketball that I can remember back to. Obviously, the UMBC, the way he handled. But to me, I think you can't just point out to one moment. You just got to look at who the coach is throughout the time he's been here. 12 years, 15 years, something throughout that. I don't know. It's around there.
It
Over
was
10 years.
2009, so we're 15 years.
15. Yeah. The way he's handled himself throughout that whole time, pouring into all those players' lives, the way he handles himself after the UMBC loss, just seeing across the time, you've really seen the kind of person and coach he is. And it's hard to point out a certain moment. He's just been an incredible coach. I couldn't ask for a better coach or person to be leading this program. And like we said earlier, I really hope he stays till the day he dies. Really, he's just incredible.
Joe Pa. I got one more. I did want to mention. It was in my brain. This is because of Tony Bennett. When Jay and I were kids and Virginia football, we were just as excited as could be for one thing. We were number one in the country.
Yep. For 3 weeks.
Or was it 3 weeks? 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
When Virginia became number one in the country for the first time under Tony Bennett. And I know rankings really don't mean anything, but I was gaga. And was it the week when
I think we lost to Virginia Tech?
Yeah, we beat some other ACC school the same night that Villanova lost to. They lost to like Purdue or something like that. It was Villanova at number one. So Saturday they had college game day at UVA when Virginia Tech was visiting, and we lost to Virginia Tech. So
and then the texts were going off, and God rest your soul, Papa Powell. Yeah. But you lit us up, and you said, I guess number one's not coming your way. And I really thought he was right. I didn't think it. And when we were number one, my God, I could have done is it Dorothy or something? Click my heels together. I like Jack just doesn't understand. Jack has been pretty much his whole childhood. Virginia's been good. When I was just in college age, I'll never forget. If Virginia beat Duke in a basketball game, we're just going to throw this out there. I couldn't tell you when, whatever. I was working at Little Creek Base, had the game on in another room. I was checking it, watching the game, coming back in there. I was so excited, and Jack knows, I can't jump. But my little tail touched the rim. I was so excited. But now, like, I'm excited to beat Duke, but I'm not jumping around because it's a common thing now. Back then, if you beat Duke, home or away, I mean, I'm touching a tail goal. It is. I'm running around outside my boxers, celebrating.
That's right.
But it is the equality of, for me, if we were to beat Virginia Tech in football, not that Virginia Tech's any good these last few years. That's what it's like for me.
We got as many national championship wins as we do wins over Virginia Tech. Since,
in my lifetime.
Like, yeah.
And it's true. I swear. It's true. I'm 17 years old. I've seen UVA beat Virginia Tech one time in my lifetime. Once.
Well, yeah.
Sorry.
Last thing I'll add is, no scandals. No players have come out and said anything negative about Tony ever. Even the guys that have transferred never had a bad word to say about him. And so that's just the last thing I'll add.
Yep, I'm in agreement.
Absolutely. Well, we'll transition to baseball here. The NCAA tournament games begin tomorrow. So Friday, I don't know what time all of you will be listening to this, but Friday, baseball is hosting a regional again at 12 o'clock versus Penn. Also in the same region as the 2-seed Mississippi State and the 3-seeded St. John's. Dad?
Yep. So real quick, we are recording on Thursday night, so this will be dropping Friday morning at 9. So hopefully you'll listen to the premiere episode at 9. But Virginia will be playing at noon against Penn. Excellent opportunity. We're getting to host the dish. Virginia's going to be throwing Joe Savino, and they're saving Blanco for Saturday. Penn was 24-23 this past season. This is a team that's Virginia's never faced in the postseason, and really ever. They did play Penn. Wait for it, in 1953.
Ah,
Jay, how old were you then? That's the dad joke.
That's what I call charity.
Yeah, Penn, that's a charity. Penn won the Ivy League tournament as a 4 seed this year to get their berth, and they had to win 3 straight out of losers bracket. We can't take them for granted. They beat Auburn last year in their first game in the NCAA tournament as well. Jay, what we got to do? We gonna have to slug our way.
Well, I guess the first thing is, we should probably address our thoughts on the pitching choice. I for one, agree with what Coach O'Connor has decided to do. I was hoping he would go with Savino and save Blanco for the winner of Mississippi State and St. John's. But it's a disaster if it goes the other way, and it's really hard to lose the first game of a double elimination 4-team event. So, you win that first one. Mississippi State really has 2 aces if they are the team that wins their game. So there'll be a tough matchup. And I think I read where Mississippi State has more quad 1 wins than like 4 of the teams combined that are hosting. So they're coming in ticked off. They felt like they should have been a host. And there's a lot of ACC, SEC matchups that you're going to see in these regionals, and you could probably get a pretty good feel for which conference was really better this year, based on some of those other matchups. And Virginia, Mississippi State's probably one of them, but you get into tournament baseball and you really just throw a record out the window. It doesn't mean anything. My little league team, perfect example. We had a soccer record for the regular season. We were 3-3-3, which was good enough for the 2 seed in the tournament. In the winners bracket championship game, we played a team that had been undefeated all year, and we almost run ruled them. We beat them, I think it was 16-7, 16-9, something like that. And
Jay brought in some free agents for that game.
No controversy there, Jack. But it's baseball. You get it done on one day and you move on. So baseball is not like basketball, and it really comes down to you starting pitcher. So hopefully Savino will come out and give us a good effort. And I don't think Penn can hold us down. The question is, can our pitching hold them under 5 runs? If they do that, I think it's about a 90% chance of advancing to the next one with a win. But I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
Savino had his ERA was still in the 3s, right?
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
So if he can I would definitely went with this game plan for sure. And but like you said, we just hope to God this doesn't backfire. But if we can get Savino with the game 1 over Penn, and we got Blanco going against either St. John's or Mississippi State, both of those teams I believe have some pretty good pitching, some of the better pitching in our region.
Yeah.
So I definitely would go that route. We'll see. I think we should be able to slug our way through Penn. Hold them. Yeah. I think if we hold them under 5, like you said, maybe we run rule them. They have run rule in the tournament too.
I would assume so. They do all year.
Maybe we could get a 16-5 run rule. And just by the way, next week, Jay's in the championship game for his team. So next week, hopefully we're going to have a recap. There's some drama in the New Kent Baseball League, and
we don't want to talk about that.
There's some allegations.
We won't discuss that tonight. But Coach Ballard is hopefully going to find his way to a championship. Whenever water bath.
Water bath.
And we'll be looking forward to hearing how Jayton Ballard hit into game-winning RBI. And
Wouldn't that be
hopefully we get some video footage of Jay running on the field with him.
They don't want dog power. I promise that.
What's that?
I promise you, they don't want no dog power with me on top.
Yeah, they had to jump on top of you. But
Yeah.
We'll look forward to that. Best of luck to Jay and his team. He's the only one standing still. Well, Jack's baseball team is just really getting started.
Yeah.
We got a tough one this weekend on Sunday. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, if you're gonna go to one of our games, don't make it this Sunday. we're playing the boys from Northern Virginia. It's gonna be a rough one. You never know. We'll see.
We did get run ruled a couple weekends ago, 21-0. People looked at the box at this final score. They thought it was a football game, and I was like, no, this was baseball. So,
They made all 3 extra points on you.
They made all 3 extra points.
Yeah.
So
I will say though, that was rough, but the big one's coming soon in about a month now, maybe a little over a month with Lynn Haven. So we'll see how that goes. That's a big one.
All right.
Anyway, so we want to wrap things up here. Do you guys have anything for our listeners, Jay?
No, just appreciate them all that did go read the article. There's some other articles that I've written about football out there. I'd love you to go read them, and those have nothing to do with that the paper that you guys don't really like. So a little bit more just schedule related for football, things like that. So go give them a read and give us a like, subscribe, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say one more. So we've been fortunate enough over the last couple of weeks and really this past week to get our show posted in the news links on thesaber.com. So first of all, I want to thank the Saber for putting our podcast on there. That's a big deal. And if you've never been on thesaber.com, you need to check it out. Jay and I know have been on there since as long as I can remember, scouring message boards, and now we're scouring them, trying to find some more content for you guys so we can see where the drama's at and talk about it. But no, there's great content on there. There's free stuff. There's subscribe stuff. And our podcast has been on there now. We put it on the message board week before last. They said they would put it on the news link for us. And so now we're part of the news link. So go to the Saber, check their site out. We appreciate them putting our stuff on there. And other than that, hopefully tomorrow Virginia baseball gets us going with a good start against Penn. And that's all I got, Jack.
Absolutely. So we would like to thank all of you for tuning in today. Please make sure to give us a follow on YouTube at Cavalier Connection Podcast, on Instagram at _Cavalier_Connection, and on X or Twitter at SalkyVA Sports.